JinPingMei Original Version Chapter 85. Wu Yunyang discovered the adultery, but Sister Chunmai did not shed tears of farewell. It is said that Yunyang took the road to the house, so there is no question. Shan Piao Jin Lian was at home, and she and Chen Jingji were like chickens chasing eggs stuck together. One day, Jin Lian had drooping eyebrows and wide waist. She was sleepy all day long and was too lazy to eat and drink. Jingji came to the room and said, "I have something to tell you. I have been too lazy to open my eyelids these past 2 days, and my waist is too lazy to open. My limbs are getting bigger, my belly is fluttering, I am afraid of food, and I feel sleepy. When your father was here, I asked Aunt Sufu Yaoyi to have the baby safely, but there was no sign of him. Today he know, I have been with you for a long time, and then I had a child. I have been washing my body for 3 months, and now I am 6 months old, and I am already half pregnant. I usually defy others, but today it is my turn. Don't pretend to be in your sleep and dreaming, while your aunt's future home is there, to ask for the medicine for miscarriage, and knock out the fetal gas as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you make a monster, I will just look for impermanence, and never think of raising my head to see anyone again." After Jingji heard this, he said, "We have all kinds of medicines in our shop, but I don't know how many kinds of medicines there are for miscarriages, and there is no way to cure them. Don't worry about the tight spots. Doctor Who from the main street, he has big and small square pulses. And women's he is good at treating people in the Department of Anthropology, and often sees doctors at our house. When I ask him where to redeem the 2 pieces, he will have feces with you." The woman said, "Good brother, get up and go quickly to save the slave's life." Chen Jingji paid 3 coins and went directly to Doctor Who's house. Doctor Who was at home, and when he came out to meet him, he recognized Jingji as the son-in-law of a high-ranking official in Ximen. He sat down and said, "I've always been acquainted with each other, so I asked what I could learn from him." Jingji said, "There's nothing wrong with him." He took out the platinum 3 stars from his sleeve and said, "As a gift to replenish the medicine, I dare to ask for 1 or 2 pieces of good medicine for pregnancy, which shows your kindness." Doctor Who said, "Between heaven and earth, a good life is a virtue. 9 out of 10 people only need anti-fetal medicine. So why do you want to have an abortion?" No. Seeing that he was constrained, Jingji added another $2 of medicine and said, "Don't worry about him. Everyone has his own use. This woman's child is not going well, so she would rather give birth." Doctor Who took the money and said, "It doesn't matter. I'll take the red flowers with you and sweep them all away. After eating them, it will be like a person walking 5 miles, and the fetus will fall out by itself." So he took 2 pieces of money and gave them to Jingji. After Jingji got the medicine, he wrote a speech as imperial physician who and delivered it to the woman at home. When the woman was late at night, she ate the decoction and suddenly felt a pain in her stomach. She slept on the king and asked Chunmai to press her belly and rub it. But suddenly something went wrong, and he sat down in a bucket and knocked the child down. He just said it was coming on his body and asked Qiuju to stir up the straw paper and pour it into the hair. The next day, the man who dug out the hole picked out a fat and white child. As the saying goes, good things never go out, but evil things spread thousands of miles. Within a few days, everyone in the family knew that Jin Lian had adopted a son-in-law and had stolen an illegitimate child. Let's talk about Wu Yunyang coming home one day. We went back half a month, and it was October when we arrived. After everyone in the family came to pay their respects, they told the sisters in Yulu what happened in Dayu Temple from the beginning, and they burst into tears. The whole family came to visit. Yunyang saw her breasts carrying brother Xiao to her side, and mother and son met together, burned the paper and put the wine in charge until Uncle Wu comes home. In the evening, all the sisters and Yunyang met each other. On the second day, Yunyang was tired and frightened due to the wind and frost on the road. She felt sore and sleepy and could not recover for 2 or 3 days. Na Qiuju was at home and heard what Jin Lian and Jingji had done. She wanted to tell Yunyang. When he walked to the door of the upper room, Xiao Yu scolded him in the face again, and hit him in the face with a big-eared scraper. He scolded him. "You gossiping slave, leave me as soon as possible. My grandma came home from a long way and is not happy." He hasn't gotten up yet. It's worth a lot if has angry. Qiu swallowed the scolding and retreated. One day, when something happened, Jingji came in to look for clothes. The woman and he were playing with the flowers upstairs, and the two of them were doing well. Qiu walked to the back and called Yunyang to come and see her, saying, the slave told the aunt again and again that she didn't believe it. The aunt was not here, so the two of them slept at home until dawn. And slept until dawn, stealing the illegitimate child. With JinPingMei and Mei are both in a fight. Today they are doing bad things upstairs again. I am not lying, mother. Hurry up and take a look. Yunyang hurriedly walked to the front. The two were doing a good job and had not yet gone downstairs. JinPingMei was in the room and suddenly saw her. She quickly went upstairs and said, "It's not good. The aunt is here." The two of them were busy and had nowhere to hide. Jingji had no choice but to take his clothes and go downstairs to go out. Yunyang saw him and yelled at her, saying, "Young kid, you don't have a memory. Why did you get in trouble if you didn't come in quickly?" Jingji said, "There are people waiting in the shop." "No one, people are looking for clothes." Yunyang said, "I paid you the same amount and taught the boy to come in and get it. Why do you come into the widow's room and do what you want? It's shameless." After a few words of scolding, Jingji was forced to go out and lose his money in water, and he was desperate. The woman was so embarrassed that she didn't dare to come down for a long time. Then when she came down, Yunyang tried her best to talk to her, and said, "Sixth sister, don't be so shameless from now on. You and I are widows now, and we can't compare to having a man. And the fragrance is at home. Bottles and jars have ears, and it doesn't matter what you have to do with this little guy. The slaves who are telling you what to do behind your back are dead. As the saying goes, men are sexless and have no steel. Women are sexless and rotten as sesame seeds. Their bodies are upright, and they can't do anything they are not told to do. He is not upright, even if he is not able to do what he is told. If you are handsome and upright, are you willing to teach your slaves how to speak?" He said it several times in front of me, but I don't believe it. I saw it with my own eyes today and said no. I said today that you must make your own decisions. Stand up for men, like when I went to offer incense and was forced by a strong man. If I was not upright, I would not be able to come home. The golden lotus eats the moon and the mother counts it. Her face turns red and white from embarrassment. She says there are not 1,000. She just says, "I am burning incense upstairs." Brother-in-law Chen is going over there to look for clothes. Who can talk to him? Ryunayang was confused for a while and returned to the back. In the evening, Sister Ximen scolded Jingji again in the room. "You're a thief. How dare you say that I don't have the real stolen goods to catch you? You're so talkative. What are the two of you doing upstairs today? Say no. Damn it." The two of them were so mean. They just locked me into the vat. The whore wanted my man, and she tied him up with words in front of me. The brick in the hair room, smelly and hard. Just like subduing that one. He leaned the croissant against the south wall. "The boss has decided. You still want to eat here?" Jingji scolded. "Whore, your family accepts my money. I am your wife, want to eat?" He moved forward. From then on, Jingji only stayed in the front and did not dare to go to the back if nothing happened. Taking the east and west, Dan and Ping'an took it upstairs. The daily meals were not brought out at noon, so Mr. Fu was so hungry that he only had money to eat hot noodles on the street. It is the dragon fighting against the tiger that hurts the little deer. Doors everywhere were closed in half a day. As a result, the friendship with Jin Lian was interrupted again. His maternal uncle Zhang Tuanlian has always been the caretaker of Chen Jai's house in Jingji. Zhang Tuanlian stayed at home, while Jingji went there to eat in the morning and evening. Yunyang didn't ask any questions. The two separated and were not allowed to see each other for about a month. The woman was alone there. The day was like 3 autumns, and the night was like midsummer. How could she keep this empty room silent? She was burning with desire. It was extremely difficult to meet him. There was no communication between them twice, so Jingji had no way to get in. Suddenly one day I saw sister-in-law Zhu knocking on the door and passing by. and she wanted to ask him to send a piece of paper with a golden lotus to express her heartfelt feelings. One day, he pushed open the door to collect the debt, rode to Zhu's wife's house, tied the donkey, lifted the curtain and asked, "Mother Zhu is at home?" His son, Suji's daughter-in-law, Sister Jin, was holding the child on the king, accompanying her. Two maids who were being sold heard someone calling Ma Zhu and came out and asked, "Who is it?" Jingji said, "It's me." Asked, "Is Sumai at home?" Sister Jin said, "My uncle invited me to sit down, and my mother went to someone else's house to exchange her face and bag for money. If you have anything to say, I will send someone to go quickly order tea and eat with Jingji." After sitting there for a short time, sister-in-law Zhu came, wished Jingji a blessing, and said, "Uncle, that gust of wind is blowing to my house." He called Sister Jin and said, "Pour me some tea with my uncle." Sister Jin said, "I just had tea." Jingji said, "No matter what happens, come here." In this way, I have been hooking up with my fifth sister for a long time, and now Kyuju's tongue has broken up our marriage. My eldest mother and eldest sister are alienated from me. My sixth sister and I are separated. The two of them have been separated for a long time and have no communication with each other. I want to send some numbers to him. No one can get the inside, so I need to contact you to get the news like this. He took out a tael of silver from his sleeve and said, "These are the numbers, Li, Quan and Suma by T." When Mrs. Su heard what she said, she clapped her hands and laughed, and said, "Whose son-in-law plays tricks on his mother-in-law? This is happening in the world. Uncle, tell me the truth. How did you get Duan?" Jingji said, "Su's sister-in-law, please be silent and don't make fun of me. I have this card and sealed it here so that I can send it to him tomorrow." Sister-in-law Zhu took it with one hand and said, "Your aunt has come back from the incense festival, and I haven't seen her go yet. We should take care of each other while I go for a walk." Jingji said, "Where can I ask for your letter?" Zhu's wife said, "I'll go to the shop to find your answer." After that, Jingji came home. The next day, Mrs. Su carried the flower box and went to Simon King's house to visit Yunyang. After sitting there for a while, we went to Meng Yu's building again, and then to Jin Lian's side. Jin Lian is setting the table to eat porridge. Seeing that the woman was unhappy, Chunmai said, "Mom, you don't have to worry about it. It's up to people to decide whether it's right or wrong. Now that my father is gone, my aunt can't raise a son, so maybe his origin is unknown. It's hard for him to care about what's going on behind the scenes between you and me. Just relax your mind, and if the sky falls, there will still be a strong man who can hold it up. Life is alive, and every day you are romantic is a day." So he sifted the wine, handed it to the woman, and said, "Mother, please have a glass of warm wine to relieve your sorrow." Seeing the dogs making love together at the foot of the stairs, he said, "Animals can still have such happiness. How much less can humans have such happiness?" While drinking, I saw sister-in-law Zhu coming and wishing Golden Lotus a blessing. He bowed to Chunmai again and said with a smile, "You ladies are so useful." Seeing the two dogs falling in love together, he smiled and said, "Your family is so auspicious. How come your mother can't relieve her boredom every time she looks at it?" The woman said, "The wind blew you here today. Why don't you come for a walk?" Asked Mrs. Su to sit down. Sister-in-law Zhu said, "I don't know what I did all day long. I just had no time to spare." The aunt put incense on her head, but she didn't even look at him. She didn't blame me just now. The third lady in the west room was also here and left me two pairs of green flowers, a pair of big emerald hair apron. It was so pleasant, so she gave me 8 coins of silver. But Miss Snow from behind asked me for 2 pairs of thread flowers in August, and she deserved 2 coins of silver, but she refused to give it to me. Okay, stingy person, I'm telling you, why don't you see your old man? The woman said, I've been feeling a little uncomfortable in the past 2 days, and I haven't gone out for a walk. Chunmai sifted a minute of wine and handed it to sister-in-law Zhu. Sister-in-law Zhu hurriedly said Wanfu and said, I'll have a drink as soon as I come in. The woman said, you can raise a good baby tomorrow. Sister-in-law Zhu said, I can't raise her. My son-in-law, Sister Jin, has a new baby. She's only been here for 2 months. Then he said, You old man has no father, and he has been so deserted all day long. The woman said, I can't say, it's better to have him here, but now my wives are tormented. To be honest, Lao Zhu said, there are many people in my family now. And his end has changed her heart since she had this child. Sister, we are not as affectionate as we were. I have been feeling uncomfortable for the past 2 days. And secondly, I have not gone there because of some gossip. Chunmai said, there are all servants like Ju in my room. When my aunt was not here, Piao Kong made a story about my mother and dragged me into it, so there was no chaos. Sister-in-law Zhu said, they are the ones in the room. That eldest sister, how could he deceive the master? Since ancient times, he has been wearing green clothes and holding black pillars. This can't be done. The woman said to Chunmai, look at that slave. I'm afraid he will come to listen again. Chunmai said, he is picking rice under the kitchen. This shabby basket slave is the water trough in this house. He only cares about the things in the house and learns from outside. Sister-in-law Zhu said, there is no one here, and my mother-in-law talks every time. Yesterday, brother-in-law Chen came to my place and told me so and so. It was he who had offended you. Brother-in-law Chen said that his aunt had told him several times. The doors everywhere were closed, and he was not allowed to come in to get clothes or medicinal materials. He moved the eldest sister into the east wing. Every day at noon, he didn't go out to eat with him. When he was hungry, he only went to his Uncle Zhang's place. Go and eat. Is this true for a son-in-law who doesn't trust him, but a young man? He has never been able to see you, so Baba Yang and I stopped by for a while. I want to pay my respects to you more, and don't be anxious. My father and I are gone too, so I put myself down and do something big. What are I afraid of? I light an incense for fear of smoke, but I light a fire, that's all. So he took out the Jingji Feng card and handed it to the woman. After taking it apart and looking at it, there is not much to say. But the words red embroidered shoes are written on it. The skin and flesh are burned in the out temple. The water in the blue bridge floods the throat, and the sound of the wind fills Nanzhou. After it is washed away, it is still stained, but when it is achieved, it is romantic, even if it is not very good. The sixth sister put on her makeup and paid homage to the woman. After looking at it, she put it into her sleeve. Sister-in-law Zhu said, he taught you to write a note back to him. Or write a few words for a while, so that you can know the whereabouts of what I sent. The woman taught Chunmai to accompany Sister Zhu to have wine. He entered the inner room and took a white silk handkerchief and a gold ring for a while. Another poem was written on the handkerchief, describing his longing for each other. After writing and sealing it properly, he walked out and handed it to Mrs. Zhu, then said, teach him to stop using his temper and eat at his mother-in-law Zhang's house. If he makes his Uncle Zhang jealous, say that you are here. My father-in-law's family is doing business, but he comes to my house to eat. It seems that we all have no life, so let him blame Uncle Zhang. Or if he doesn't have food, ask him to take money from the shop to buy some snacks and eat with the waiters. You use if Xing'er doesn't come in. Who will he be angry with? But he looks like a thief who is cowardly. Sister-in-law Zhu said, wait until I tell him. The woman gave Mrs. Zhu 5 more silver coins. After saying goodbye, he went out and found Jingji in the front shop. The two went to a quiet place to talk, and handed Feng's belongings to him. Wu Niang said, I will teach you not to use your gambling spirit. Teach you to come in and walk often. And don't go to your Uncle Zhang's house to eat, or make other people weird. He took out 5 pieces of silver and looked at him. This is what's inside with me. It doesn't hide anything. Will you to be worried about the same thing in the future? Come out. Where is my face? Jingji said, Old Zujuo has tired you. Sing with him deeply. Mrs. Zhu took 2 steps and then came back and said, I almost forgot one thing. When I came out just now, the aunt asked the girl Zhu Chun to call me in and asked me to come and collect Chunmai in the evening. She wanted to sell him. He will take the lead with you, and he and his mother will support the Han people. Jingji said, Mother Zhu, please take him at home. I will meet him at your house another day and ask him if I have anything to say. After Mrs. Zhu finished speaking, she went home. Sure enough, When the moon was rising in the evening, I came to collect the spring plum blossoms. When they arrived at Yunyang's room, Yunyang said, "Well, you originally bought us with 16 taels of silver. Now you can just bring us 16 taels of silver." He told Xiaoyu, "Look, go to the front and clean up. Teach him to go out naked. Don't take out any clothes." Then sister-in-law Zhu came to the front and said to the woman, "His aunt taught me how to bring Sister ChenMei here. He told me that he cheated with you and raised men secretly. No matter how long or short he was, he only asked me for the original price." When the woman heard that she was selling plums, she opened her eyes and was speechless for a long time. Suddenly her eyes filled with tears, and she shouted, "Sister-in-law Zhu, look at my mother-in-law. These two are so miserable. Today is so miserable. Not long after he died, I sent away the people around me. His aunt was so unkind that she thought she had a urinary bladder around him, so she threw people ashery into the mud. Leaping Er's child was still dead after half a week. Well, the measles rash has not yet appeared. I know what God is planning, so my heart is so high that it blocks the sun." Sister-in-law Zhu said, "Sister ChenMei said that my father used him in Japan." The woman said, "Have used the word harbor. The devil treats him like a child. Say one thing, listen to 10 sentences, and pay 10 for one. If you are serious about getting married and setting up a wife, please stay behind. He wants to beat that little kid. His father dare not hit him with 10 sticks." Sister-in-law Zhu said, "But here we go again. My aunt is in trouble. Dad hired such an outstanding girl and sent him away without a box or cage. He was not allowed to bring a single piece of clothing. He was only told to go out naked, and the neighbors also not good looking." The woman asked, "He told you that Shujiao should bring out the clothes?" Sister-in-law Zhu said, "Auntie will pay for it, and Sister Xiaoyu will come. Teach him to watch, and Shujiao will take the clothes out with him." ChenMei, who was nearby, didn't shed any tears when she heard him being sent away. Seeing the woman crying, he said, "Mom, why are you crying? The slave is gone. Please be patient and don't worry about it. If you get sick from thinking, no one will know that you are in pain. When the slave goes out, don't take your clothes with you. Since ancient times, good men do not share the same meal, and good women do not wear wedding clothes." Just as he was talking, Xiaoyu came in and said, "Wu Niang, you believe my grandma? It's unreasonable. The little eldest sister supported your old man for a while and kept it secret. Your old man took out his box and picked it up. He had 2 sets of sexy bags and asked sister-in-law Zhu to take them for him. Just to make a thought, it would also be his turn." The woman said, "Good sister, you are kind and righteous." Xiaoyu said, "Look, who is always safe? Toad and Jujier are all from the same soil. The rabbit dies and the fox is sad, and everything hurts its own kind." On the one hand, he took out the ChenMei box, including Dai's sweat scarf and green hairpin, and told him to take them. The woman picked out 2 sets of colored ruffled clothes and shoes, and packed them in a big bag. The woman gave him several hairpins, combs, and rings, and Xiaoyu also pulled out 2 hairpins from her head and handed them to ChenMei. The remaining beaded tassels, silver buns, and gold embellished skirts and coats were all carried to the back without being moved. ChenMei then bid farewell to the woman and Xiaoyu, and said goodbye with tears. Before leaving the house, the woman wanted him to say goodbye to Yunyang and everyone else, but Xiaoyu was seen waving her hands. ChenMei and Mrs. Dingshu broke up with each other and walked out of the house without looking back. Xiaoyu and the woman walked back out of the gate. Xiaoyu went to the upper room to return to her aunt, and only said, "I left naked, but left all my clothes, and I didn't stay with him." The golden lotus was returned to the room, where there were usually spring plum blossoms, and the mother and daughter were loving each other and talking to each other. But today he left, leaving the room desolate, and I burst into tears without realizing it. There is a poem to prove it. The words are still in my ears, and my love is shared today. No one was seen in the room, and he was speechless.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.